And we have Bobby. And we have the one and only, you will not believe it.
All right.
Oh gosh,
Who gave Frank the soundboard again?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Influencers, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry technology, and services to help you be a mortgage influencer in your mortgage business.
Okay, well, welcome to another Mortgage Influencers. And Scott's not with us today. Scott's normally with us, but we do have Frank Garay, yay, who's in the house. And
I'll give myself a chair. And we have Bobby. And we have the one and only, you will not believe it.
All right.
Oh gosh,
Who gave Frank the soundboard again?
Who gave Frank Garay control of the situation? It's a mistake. Whatever. Learn your lessons. That's all I gotta say.
I should have known something was up because I saw right before I went live, it suddenly popped up. Frank Garay is sharing his computer sound. It's like,
that is
I
right.
love it. So is that what you meant when you said you have lots to share?
I've got a lot to share. Yeah. So we were supposed to have Josh Pitts on here, and he's, hopefully he pops in.
Yeah,
but while we're waiting, you know what I want to talk about, man? You know what I think we need to talk about?
Yeah.
Is stuff that works. Stuff that works. I know in the past we've talked a lot about video, and video is a great thing to do. Obviously it is. But here's what I kind of wanted to say is, video is a really cool thing, but video is not the plan, right? Video is not the plan, right?
Yeah.
Video is part of it. Video can be part of it. It can be part of the plan. But if we're going to be an originator today, right, we need a real plan. And that's what that's what we teach over at Marketing Animals, Loan Officer Breakfast Club, right? We have a plan, the plan. What do I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? What do I do? Who do I call? What do I say? Right? Carl, I'm so jazzed up, brother, because I too listen to the Kyron Stokes podcast.
I'm just saying,
no, it's like 11. Now I'm on Dr. Pepper.
Somebody give him a soundboard and caffeine. It's like, oh my God. It's
but
like
it's been a great day.
Midnight. Don't feed him after midnight.
So let's talk about that because it's sharing things like that. So I started an 8-week mortgage marketing planning coaching session yesterday, and it was kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, let's create a plan. So I got a bunch of people on it. We're starting with the whole creating, and the thing I kept hearing about, Frank, everyone's like, I was just on an MMA call this morning, and Skylar shared this amazing thing talking about the whole difference of buying versus renting, and did an amortization. It's like how much you're going to be actually save and build and wealth and things like that. And so, yeah, to your point, it's like there's so many other things that you can do as far as making, doing marketing and things like that. Before we get into that, though, I'm going to let Bobby hop in because Bobby hopped on here.
Bobby, absolutely.
Because Bobby joined us.
I'm not as pumped as Frank, so I feel really bad. I'm like the anti-Frank right now.
Dude, it's a tough to go alongside. Yeah.
So Bobby, what you're saying is you're not in the manic phase. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not no. I'm just hanging on for dear life, Carl, after Frank's announcement there.
And energy. I mean, that's the key. So,
I just want you to know, I can't wait for you to be done, Fobby, so I can take back over. So come on, let's go. I'm kidding, but not really. But yes, I am. Go ahead. What do you got? Come on, let's go.
Listen, I mean, I'm here to talk about Potapalooza 2022. That's the reason I've been coming on this show. I'm promoting the heck out of it. It's a fundraiser, Frank, and your good friend Carl White and your good friend Ginger Bell are both going to be on it. We're raising funds for a local charity up here in DC called So Others Might Eat. And this is the second year we're doing it. We have 6 different podcast shows. We have 4 different great speakers. We're going to have some surprise appearances throughout the whole event. It's a one-day event that I started doing it to raise awareness for poverty, fighting poverty. And so it's really a cool event. And listen, I got some texts last time I was on this show from some other people. I just want everyone to know, and I'm going to try to get some Frank energy here, okay? Because Frank, you got to help me out here, okay? Seriously.
Just tell me what they're saying. I'll say it. Yeah.
Thank you. I don't make a dime out of this.
Okay.
I mean, we put the link up so all the money goes directly to the charity. I am not in the middle at all. I'm not looking for a tax write-off. I'm not looking for anything. I literally just want to help people, this organization in particular. They're just an amazing organization I've been part of for years. And I just wanted to use our podcast as a voice for them because they really go unheard.
That's awesome. Wait, so so forgive me, but I missed out on some of the detail of that. So give me, tell me about the event a little bit more. Like what's going on?
So we start on Saturday, November 12th at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll start off with podcast. I think the first one that's going to kick it off is Charlene McWilliams from You Better Hear Me Now.
And Fobby, so is this a thing where they're going to, like, is part of it visual and part of it just audible, or like, how does that work?
Is it virtual?
So it will be streaming. It will be streaming live on Facebook on the Potapalooza website. Ginger's been so nice to make a little landing page for us under Mortgage Influence /Potapalooza. But it'll be on Facebook. It'll be on LinkedIn. It'll be on YouTube.
But like when you say you're having podcast, am I going to be seeing the people or listening to them, or
you'll be seeing them?
Okay, so they're not going to do a live podcast episode during this thing, and we'll have a camera on so we can see what they're doing and whatnot.
Yep, they're going to be doing live. Awesome. This year we are allowing everyone to either record ahead of time or be live. It's their choice.
Okay.
The producers last year said, "Hey, we love the guys who sent us the pre-recorded stuff. Made it really easy for the time fragment." So I said, you know what, instead of having to do live, if people want to pre-record and upload it, I have no problem as long as we can give value to the listeners. Because look, unlike other events that charge money, I want $0 for this information. I mean, I just want to give away as much knowledge as possible because you guys are, you and Frank both, I mean, you guys are talking about thriving in this market, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people in this business that are hurting. But I think we all can use that platform to help people who are less fortunate, because eventually our market will turn again. And when you're in that cycle of poverty, it takes a little bit longer for it to turn.
You know, Frank, I saw the lineup. It's actually pretty impressive. And I was thinking, there's so much value and probably so many good things that's going to be taught on this thing. I think it's only, I don't know, it seems like the right thing to do, that we don't want these people to feel guilty for getting all of this stuff and Fobby not making a dime. So I think we're going to make it so if they just hold their credit card up to the cameras,
Carl's going to write it down.
Well, yeah, I do not want these people to go away feeling guilty for getting all this great information. So I do want to
we made it actually easier than that, Carl. We actually created a website called www.somedonate.com.
Got it.
Nice.
And it's directly from
smart
the participant to the charity. Once again, no middleman. You guys take the 100% tax deduction. Enjoy the benefit of helping somebody else that's going to need it, and a lot more than we need it right now.
Yeah.
Tell me about the charity. How'd you get involved with them?
So it was years ago. I was actually working at a food bank here in Washington, D.C., because I live in the D.C. suburbs. And I was shocked to find out, it really was. I mean, I grew up in D.C. all my life, right? That there was actually people, I mean, I knew about the homeless crisis. That's fine. Back in the days of Community for Nonviolence and Mitch Snyder and all that stuff. But I didn't realize that there were people called the struggling poverty, meaning that they have a job, but they don't have a place to live. Or they just make enough to pay their bills and they can't buy enough food for 7 days. They can only buy enough for 4 days. And so one of the facts that we talked about over and over again is that right now in America, we have 11% of people living in poverty. Which is just mind blowing when you really think about that. That in this amazing country where my parents came as immigrants and we rose to whatever levels we've risen to, that we still have people who are struggling and we can't seem to find us. And I know sometimes there's other issues involved and people have deep conversations about all that. But the other day, if we can help one person this year, for that I would be eternally grateful.
That's good stuff, man.
Well, somebody stole the hubcaps off my Rolls Royce. Does that count? I mean, I it's like.
Well, Carl, I don't know about that. Unless I stole them and I took them to whatever hub dealership there is.
I'm just kidding.
He's kidding.
No,
I tell you, Carl's Rolls Royce looks a lot like a Ford F-150.
It does.
That's been around the block a few times.
More than a few. More than a few. Good stuff, Bobby. I think it's outstanding. I did.
Yeah.
I'll decide. Frank, I saw the lineup. It's an impressive lineup. So I think it'll be whether somebody's doing this to help the cause you're doing, Bobby, or frankly, if they're doing it because, hey, I want some good information. What should I do now in today's market? It's a phenomenal lineup that you got. So good feedback.
And everything as far as talking about, Carl, it was gracious enough to hop on. I know, Carl, you're going to be actually I think in Nashville on the 12th. And so you're on it. We've got Christine Beckwith, Todd Duncan, Karina Carter.
You ever spend time with Christine Beckwith, Frank? You know who that is?
Oh, totally. She's my bud, man.
I love her.
Me too. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's great.
I saw her. We were at the same event down in I think Miami here a couple 3 weeks ago.
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah. I saw it. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, where's Carl get to hang out with Christine?
Yeah, and she's handing out all these T-shirts. I got Jack, right? I ain't got nothing, right?
I
hand
don't
out
get
advice.
T-shirts.
Come to find out, people would rather have T-shirts than advice.
They would. Yeah, Christine's great. She's one of those people that every once in a while I just kind of go, I wonder what Christine would think about this, and I just give her a call. I go, what do you think about this? I've done that to her a few times.
you ever listen to her
She's
podcast?
a great.
Me? No, I have not heard her podcast yet. Mm-mm.
Man, it's some good stuff. It's she's kind of a raw individual, in a cool way.
No.
And there's a surprise.
No.
Yeah. But she rides a Harley too, by the way.
I know. That's one of the things that I was like, okay, gotta know this chick. There's something to this girl.
Cool chick.
Right.
Cool biker chick.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She's totally
Super
cool.
smart lady.
She's totally cool. Yeah. She's been a big supporter of us and been putting together. And actually this year they're actually a sponsor now of the event. So not only is she a keynote speaker, she's also, so she's really digging in deep. So I love her.
She's making way too much money now. My goodness.
What's up with that?
What's up with that?
I love it.
Don't be deterred by sponsors, Frank.
Never. Really near.
Come on, dude,
honestly,
help a brother out.
Dude, I'll help you out. We'll help you out.
How much is your goal to raise? Because I know I upped it for you, man. I put down more than what you put in.
I'm gonna stay at 25,000, Ginger, because I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I could not focus as much as I wanted to. The good news is we've now I think we've actually gone beyond whatever we raised last year.
Nice.
Oh, no
Already
kidding.
got almost doubled that from last year, which
Perfect.
is not bad.
Yeah.
I want to get to that halfway point before you guys start podcasting on the 12th. So my goal is to hit 12,005 between now and 9 more days. And as a loan officer, we strive for deadlines and goals. We don't do anything till 2 hours before the closing. So.
Hey, Bobby, is there going to be a way? Can I get if I'm doing something with a family on Saturday and not available? Is there going to be a way that I can access the recordings to it?
Yeah, it'll be on our YouTube channel, and we'll upload it on Spotify and that kind of stuff.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and we'll share it too. So I created a website for Mortgage Influencers Group, and it's mortgageinfluencers.com. And then I did a webpage for Fobby on that. I think the last time you were on, Fobby, you told me that I was acting like your big sister.
Yes. Oh my God. I used to. My sister Talat was always like, when I was a kid, like, roll up your sleeves, fluff up your hair. Don't do this.
Bobby's going, hey, promote this. It's like, where are they supposed to go to? A lot of your questions. So it's like, where are they going to find the information? How can they register? How can they give? And Bobby's like, I don't have it set up yet. It's like, I'll just take care of that.
I'm a visionary guy.
Bobby's a visionary guy. It's like, okay. So
Bobby's more brush strokes, right? Brush strokes.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I made a webpage for you, Bobby. It's on our mortgageinfluencers.com/Potapalooza. And Bobby, I love, I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. Bobby has a great podcast that he does. And I know you've been a guest before on that. And so I love the fact that you're such a giving heart. And this is a great organization to be able to support. So thank you for that. Thank you for serving and being that person to be able to make a difference. Carl, thank you for jumping on board. I know when Fobby called me, he goes, "Hey, I know you know Carl. Do you think he'll
Can you
be
make
on?"
sure? Can you make sure he doesn't crash the party?
Right.
Like, oh, too late. I already told him about it.
Tell him it's Sunday, December 13th.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby.
We'll just stream them.
And Bobby, if somebody's just joining us, where do we how do we access it, or how do we sign up for it?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page under Facebook. Just, I guess, if you Google Potapalooza, it should come up. I'm hoping. I don't know how it all works. Otherwise, Mortgage Influencers has created a web page for us. So if you go to Mortgage Influencers /Potapalooza, it'll be on there. You can also go to YouTube and look up the Laugh, Learn, and Eat channel. And that's the day of, so you can actually see the streaming of it. So, I think there are some other websites, Carl, that other people have created for me, but I have not been a good host of theirs. Okay. So I know there's other organizations that are promoting this at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, and good. Honestly, guys, the best thing, if you're looking for the ease of use, I put all of those links, Carl, onto our Mortgage Influencers site. Oh, and so if they go to Mortgage Influencers, there's a drop down. So you guys go to Mortgage Influencers. You'll be able to connect to see the stream and everything. Bobby's streaming on several different places. And then the recording, and Fobby will make sure and share that on our Mortgage Influencers as well. And then remember, to give 11% is a staggering amount, and I have a feeling that might be maybe a little bit higher than what we even know of those who are struggling to be able to put food on the table. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's huge. It's a huge number. So now I want to turn it back over to Frank for the nice
there we go.
Stuff that he
and for the rest of our entertainment show. Okay, so Frank, Bobby, thank you so much.
Yeah, this is Fobby, awesome, man. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Carl, I listened to the Kyron Stokes podcast that you did, right? And because I'm doing a podcast with him again. I'm late to the game, as usual, right? Carl scoops him up before I can, all the time. But I figured, okay, I'm going to listen to this podcast and see what I can do mine on. So I found some really neat, interesting nuggets there that I think I'm going to explore with Kyron. But here's the point I wanted to make, man, is we're in this market, and me and Carl, we're in kind of a unique spot, especially with Loan Officer Breakfast Club, where we get to coach literally 200 to 300 people every single Monday through Thursday, right? Let alone who's in our Facebook group, the Loan Officer Breakfast Club Facebook group. And so it's really, really interesting to see what's going on out there and where people really are. And what's blowing my mind is that, because I hear, I don't like to spend a lot of time on social media, but I flip through some stuff. I see some things, I see some stuff, and I'm seeing a lot where we've talked about it here, where, you've got, the market's so different, and people, things have changed, and people are freaking out and not doing well and all this stuff. And I'm just finding that, man, oh man, if you got a freaking plan, the right plan, and if you execute it correctly, your life can change like literally overnight. We've got guys on our on Breakfast Club that are executing the daily success plan. They've been in the business 3-4 months, and they're like meeting with the top producing real estate agents in their area, like having appointments with them,
and
like I guess closing deals. I'm just like, so I'm seeing all this stuff out there. People are saying, oh, these top agents, they don't want to talk to anybody, they don't want to have coffee, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, then why is it working for these guys? I don't understand. Like, why is this guy who doesn't know anything, who's been in the business for 8 weeks, having a conversation with him, and at the end of it, the realtor saying, this is great, I'm going to send you some business, right? And then they get it. Like, why? Why is that happening?
So, Frank, it reminds me of what it must have been like when the Wright brothers were flying the airplane, people on the ground watching that plane fly, and people on the ground saying, yeah, there's never going to be anything that flies. There's no such thing. There's not, and they're watching it fly, and it's that same thing. So, hey, I got a question for you, and Fobby, I'll ask it of you. Like, what's one skill or trait that you think it's necessary in today's market to be successful for a loan officer? Like, what's one thing?
For me, and I don't know if this is a skill or what it is, I just think consistency.
Yeah.
Like, do one thing and do it good, but do it every single day. Like, if that's your thing, then do it. You know what I mean? And to me, if you're not consistent, you're not going to get through any kind of down market. And I've been in the market 28 years, since 1994 as a loan officer, right? So the one thing I've always do is whenever something goes wrong, I go to my grassroots and I pick up exactly what I did before, and I start repeating that process all over again.
Yeah, I think even if you have a bad plan and you do it every day, you'll get stuff from it. Or I should say bad, but even if you don't have the best plan, like whatever that thing is. I mean, even if you had a plan of knocking on
what else
doors.
is funny? Sorry, Carl, but you know what else is funny is you have to be a little bit stupid in this business. And I mean that in the most loving way. Because the smart people will analyze it. Oh, you know, Carl doesn't understand. I live in Springfield, Virginia, and the market is totally different here because we have defense
I love that one. Yeah.
And you got to just be stupid. Like, okay, if Carl is saying that, I know he's in Florida and he drives a Ford F-150 and I drive a Hyundai, but I'll do it. I'll see what happens. Just be stupid enough to do it.
We have a saying in our group. There was a guy, and I'm not going to tell the story, but it's going to sound like we're being crass to him, but we're not. But he just wasn't the sharpest tack in the box. By a long shot. In fact, it was a pretty dull tack. In fact, whatever tacks have no sharp edge whatsoever. That's that's kind of like what this guy was, right? But he kicked butt, man, because he just followed. He wasn't smart enough to think of another plan or to alter that plan or to think about come up with 8 different reasons why it won't work. He couldn't come up with one because he wasn't smart enough. And he just wild success, became very, I would say wealthy. Like he had great success. And so we have a saying in our group, his first name was Bob. And so we say, don't be clever, be Bob. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. So we don't mean disrespect to Bob, but just do it, so.
Anyway. You don't replace that with Fob. You can just say Fob, be like Fob,
Yeah.
Don't be clever, be Bob. Yeah.
Be like Fob. I love it.
I like that.
I want to talk about the plan because I'm hearing, and Frank, you started off, part of what you have at Mortgage Marketing Animals and what you talk about in Freedom Club is having that plan. And then Carl, you talk about executing that plan. So tell me what that is. What is the daily success plan? What does that look like?
I tell you, there's absolutely not enough time to get into it in detail at all, right? But essentially, we have theme days, Monday through Thursday, right? Mondays we're focusing on taking care of the realtor partners that we already have. When I say taking care of, connecting with them, checking in with them, asking for the business, also seeking out new real estate partners. And this is a big deal in today's market because if you're in a situation where you don't have I think a lot of old timers, it came out of this big refi boom and it's all went away. And then they realized, I've only got 2.5 realtors, right, that were helping me in any way, shape, or form. And now they got nothing. So they're standing around going, I literally have nothing, right? I have nothing going on. So it's important for us to increase our realtor relationships to build the number of that up. So on Mondays, we're looking at, connecting with the agents that we already do business with, making sure if there's anything we can help them with, that kind of thing. And then also going out and establishing new relationships. So that's Monday. Tuesday, we're making sure that we're touching base on all of our active files, updating the people, especially the agents, and asking them for business when we do that. Wednesday, today, we're working on our database, right? Our past clients and our database and engaging with those people, asking if they know anybody that needs our help. If we dig something out of them and they came from a referral partner in the past, we bring that back to the referral partner, right? And then Thursdays, we talk about we engage with our pre-approved and looking. So if we got deals that are pre-approved and looking, we follow up with them, keep them motivated, ask if they know everybody else that needs our help. And of course, when we touch them, we also touch our partners as well, our real estate partners as well. Say, hey, I talked to so-and-so. Hey, you got any help? You need any help with anybody before the weekend shows up? So that's it in a very abbreviated, simple format, but it really doesn't get a whole lot more complicated than that, does it, Carl? It really doesn't.
No. For me, like, Ginger, anytime somebody says, Carl, what should I do? First thing I ask them is, all right, let's talk about your last 10 loans, right? And whether that was last week, last month, or the last 2 years combined, like however long, right? No judgment. What did they have in common? How did you bring in the last 10? Like, what if you could follow back to the mouth of the Nile, what's working for you right now? And just do more of that and less of everything else, whatever that thing is. I find, one of my favorite questions to ask, I'm somebody's kind enough to ask me to come speak in Chicago tomorrow. So I'm leaving here in a little bit and flying to Chicago. And the first, in the first 5 minutes, the question I asked, what's the number one thing you do that makes you most of your money? Like, what is that thing? And the thing is that when I ask people that, they have the same response that I had when the first time I was asked that question by a guy named Dean Jackson. And then Dean said, Carl, what's the number one thing you do that makes you most of your money? I had to stop and think about it. He said, well, wait, you're having to stop and think about what makes you the most money. What's there any chance whatsoever you're focusing your energy and effort around that one thing when you don't even know what it is?
Yeah. Wow.
Right. And once you know what that one thing is, then you go, all right, let's do that more often. So we'll ask that question. What's the number one thing you do that makes you most of your money? I don't care what field you're in, but we're talking to loan officers. And then part two of that question, how many hours, minutes, if any, did you spend doing that last week? And the average answer around the country when I ask that is 0. I spent 0 hours. I spent 0 minutes doing the very thing that makes me most of my money, because I didn't even know what it was until you just asked me 30 seconds ago, and I had to sit and stop and think about it. Right. But well, something that seems so obvious, even bright people, and I'd put myself in that category, right? I'm not, I'm just like, that's not a hard question. I don't know. I never really thought about it until Dean Jackson asked me that. And so it's just, so that's what I advise people to do is like, what's the number one thing you do that makes you most of your money? How many hours, minutes, if any, being brutally honest, I spent doing that last week. And then what got in the way of doing that more hours last week, and just get rid of the obstacles that's getting your way, whatever that is, that's keeping you from doing that activity. Get rid of that, get rid of all that stuff and focus on the number one thing. So anyway,
I love that. And then
I got it. I got to go, you guys. Sorry, I got another one I got to do, but it's been great. It's been fun. Fobby, love the event. Carl, as always, love hanging out with you, Ginger. You're fabulous. You look amazing as usual. Yes.
So we'll see you in Nashville.
Adios.
We'll go ahead and close out here too. But before we do, and Frank's going to take off, one of the things, Carl, because, Frank and I were hopping on, we were talking before, and we're all getting ready to go to Nashville. And Nashville is Freedom Club, and it's an event that, you host for Freedom Club members, and you do it periodically throughout the year. And talking to people that are planning to come to this event, it creates the opportunity to network and to be together. And so, I think, Fobby, what you're doing and bringing people together, for the podcast, Carl, for what you do, for, what you have as far as your boot camps and your Freedom Club events. Honestly, guys, right now is the time you need to be looking for those and investing your time and investing your money at surrounding yourself, learning from people. And Carl, every time I sit down with you, I just walk away with just so much powerful information, and not just on business, but in life. And so, right now, if you're wondering that one thing to do right now, besides that one thing that brings you money, but the one thing that can help bring you money is to surround yourself with people that can help you become better at doing that one thing.
I don't know who it was that said this, but it's so true that we're 10% of where and who we are because of us, and 90% of who we hang out with.
Yeah.
And I know that's an old cliche. That's not a cliche. That's an absolute truth, that whoever I hang out, it's kind of like I lived up in North Carolina for a few years, and I found myself taking on that accent. Yeah. And then when I moved back, everybody said I was talking funny because I started, even though I already knew how to talk before I went there, we're all a sponge at some level, and I brought on that accent. So it's so whoever, when I hang out with cool people like Fobby and cool and successful people like you, Ginger, just good things happen. So yeah.
Let me just say one thing real quick. I want to say one thing real quick. April 25th, 2019. This statement changed my life. I have it written down right here, right? And it says, "Fear is peeing in your pants. Courage is doing what you need to do with wet pants," by Carl White. Literally changed my life that day. Because I had always been pissed off when I used to hear people say, if you have faith, you have no fear. If you have fear, then you don't have any faith. I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And then Carl said, boom,
Yeah.
And I wrote it down in my phone book. I mean, my notes that I just, to that day, I'm always indebted to you, Carl, because I've always said that's the way, that's life. Like if you're afraid today, just go do it.
Yeah.
If you got wet pants, go do it. No big deal.
Where I kind of got that from was a buddy of mine. I'm not going to tell the whole story, Ginger. I know we're running on time, but a buddy of mine worked for was a paratrooper, right? Jumped out of airplanes for the Army. And I'm a private pilot. I was up there flying one day and I thought that, a little small Cessna. And I'm like, zero chance I could jump out of an airplane, right? Given the choice, zero chance that would happen. So I landed that day and I called up my buddy. His name is Mike. I said, Mike, how'd you have the courage to do that? Like, really, like, this is just me and you talking. Like, really, how'd you have the courage to do that? He said, dude, I pissed my pants every time I jumped out of that plane. He said, but I found, you jump with wet pants on, you just, like, it never goes away. I jumped out of that plane hundreds of times, maybe thousands, I guess, over his career, but certainly hundreds. Every single time he was afraid. And frankly, that gave me comfort, like going, oh, okay, that's how this works. That people of greatness, it's not a lack of fear. It's doing it with fear, like being afraid, picking up the phone call to make these phone calls, or to make that meeting, or to shoot that video, or to hold this podcast, or this great event like you're holding, Fobby. Fear, well, what if nobody shows up? And what if this? And what if the technology? And what if I disappoint? Right? Everybody has that fear. You just do it anyway. You push through that fear. You jump out of the plane afraid, and the confidence only happens after the event, not before. Confidence never comes before the phone call. It only comes after the phone call. So anyway, looking forward to hanging out with you, buddy. I appreciate the invite. Good stuff. And appreciate Ginger for, hooking us up.
I love it. Okay. Well, thanks, Fobby. If you want to hop back on next week, we'll continue to promote. Carl, I'll see you in Nashville.
I'll see you in Nashville, my friend.
Okay, thanks. Bye.